there, Cancer. Welcome to your end of February 2024 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. Pick an additional card. Okay. Okay, so it's funny because this card, I did pick this for another sign, and this card is actually connected to Aries, but I always get the vibe of Capricorn, which is your opposite sign. And it's this, I mean, both Capricorn and Aries are cardinal signs, so it is that sense of that authority figure. This actually is the father. But this person, in terms of professions, can be a police officer, or a military man, and they have this very kind of, I would call like a rigid mentality of like black and white. This is right, this is wrong. And, you know, when it seems on the surface, when people are like that they're, you might say, oh, wow, that person is so moral, or that, something like that. But actually, that's not how life works. And when people judge things that harshly or that rigidly, that's not really a sign of wisdom. So a lot of times these people can come across as very intolerant, and it's not really a good vibe. But this might be something entirely. So in other words, what I'm saying is it's that this type of person, if you're dealing with them, it might feel very confining. It might feel like I have to get away from this person. I have to rebel from this person. And who knows, maybe this is your father. And you've always had that issue with your father, that you feel he's too controlling. This can be a controlling person. Maybe you married your father in a different person, and it's still that same controlling type of individual. So that might be the theme. But when I look at the past position, it's the Fool card. And this is where, it's funny that the Magician card in this deck, the Light Seers Tarot deck, that the Fool card and the Magician card have this vortex, or I guess you would call it, I don't know if that's the flower of life, but it's kind of like where it's like the things that you want to manifest. And with the Fool being the zero point of creation, of creating a new life for yourself. And so the Emperor can be that part of yourself, Cancer, that is dedicated to going in a totally new direction. Cancer is the sign of the past because it's the ruler of the fourth house of home and family and childhood. And so Cancer people tend to be very sentimental, but they also tend to be very, you could say stuck in the past, but you could also say in love with the past. And yet sometimes we have to encourage growth, and that means encouraging new situations, not just staying in that old pattern. Even if it's something good, because sometimes it becomes very stagnant and then there's no real growth. It's just kind of doing the same thing over and over again, but it feels very safe. Well, that's nice, but it's not going to create growth opportunities. And maybe if this Emperor is another person, maybe at one time that person felt safe. because they seemed to have all the answers, and they were very um, forceful about their answers or their ideas. But now it just feels oppressive. However, the emperor could be a facet of yourself where you are taking control of your life, and therefore you're willing to do things differently. The higher message is the Page of Swords. So this is about paying attention to, I would say, like the sights and symbols around you, for your guidance. Like being aware of what is happening, because if you are going through a spiritual awakening, for instance, you may not know exactly what to do, because it's not like you have some kind of a workbook to deal with it. And it really, I think one of the first things that happens when you undergo like a spiritual awakening is that there's a lot of confusion, because everything that you believed in before, it seems like it's being turned upside down. And it's interesting because I read about a lot of people's experiences, and it seems like there have been a lot of awakenings in the last few years due to these outer events, which were ironically, I think, orchestrated to keep us dumbed down, but it actually had the opposite effect. This is something that, I have, I hesitate to use, I was already awakened. I mean, that sounds kind of arrogant, but that wasn't something that I had an experience with in the last few years. But some people have had like a dramatic shift where all of a sudden they're downloaded all this stuff that, maybe some of us back in the day, like in the 80s or whatever, that we took years to just read about. And these people had it downloaded. So they didn't, it's not that they don't have to read it all, but, it's like they have a knowingness about a lot of stuff that is connected to esoteric things. And if you were one of those people, the Page of Swords is like the guideposts that are around that are helping you to make sense of things. And of course, it could be research reading as well. That is good for that. What crosses you is the Page of Pentacles. And this to me is like thoughts of the material. Um, as I stated, I think Cancer people, and that is that sense of security for you, is knowing that your material life is um, all together, and you don't have to worry about it. And I mean, that's not crazy. That makes a lot of sense. But the problem is that there's never going to be a time for some people where they're ever going to feel secure, because it's really, if you know anything about the chakra system, the root chakra is about security. And sometimes when people are young, or even this could even be from past lives, where they experience a trauma with security in some way, it's very hard for them to ever feel like enough is enough. And so they can just be operating on a lower level simply because they can't, they don't have faith that they're going to be taken care of. And they always feel that anything can happen. And, that's a form of insecurity that can make people stay in jobs that are, sucking their soul and really depleting them physically. And so, what is the ultimate point of that? But that is something to really look at. What's coming in is the Magician card. This is about being a conscious co-creator. This is a card. Oh yeah, I did get it. I forgot that I even got this card. So I was saying this vortex because in the Abraham Hicks material, and I haven't really read any of their books all the way through. And I think they have a separate book about the vortex. It might be their second book in the Law of Attraction series. And I always wanted to know because I kept hearing about that term. And I guess it's the place where, I'm obviously it's a physical place, but it's where when you are visualizing what you want, that the manifestations begin. So, and I might be wrong about that. So the thing is that the magician is an energy that of the conscious co-creator, where you feel that you can create what you want in life. Most people are conditioned to think that if you want money, go fill out a job application or send in a resume, and maybe, just maybe, you'll get a job. When people become magicians, when they kind of work with their own personal alchemy, what they're doing is they are following their bliss and finding a way to maybe monetize that. Not in a crass way, oh, I'm going to make all this money doing this. It's really about doing what you love. There's a book, and I think it was from the 80s or 90s. I had a long time ago. It's called Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow. And that was one of those law of attraction type of books before there was even that term. So it was probably from I don't know if it was from the 80s or not, but I think I bought it in the 90s. I bought it in a thrift store or something. And I should dig out that book if I can ever find it. But yeah, and this idea that, wow, I can actually do something that I love, or that I at least have an interest in. It may not be exactly what I want right now, but it's in that vicinity. And I can go after that thing. And I don't have to just kind of like take what somebody will give me. And the reason is, it isn't about whether you work for somebody or work for yourself, but it's about forging your own path, and that's what the magician is connected to, the sign of Aries. All fire energy is about resourcefulness, independence, like autonomy. And that is, to me, very important. Well, I'm a sun in Sag, so I'm a fire sign myself. Maybe that's why. But I really feel that when people are dependent on the outer world to give them a job, or to, give them love and validation, then they are not free. And it really isn't about the outer world anyway. You could be making a lot of money, and like I said, it could be draining you. You might make less money initially, but have so much more time, have so much more sense of peace in your life. You're not feeling like you're in a pressure cooker, competing with other people. There's so many things that could enhance your life. So please keep that in mind. If the magician might be that you're going to do something along these lines. I don't know about in the next 2 weeks, but by the way, until the end of March, all the planets are direct. So that supports these kinds of new projects. The outcome is the Knight of Swords, and this is a very, the first word that came into my mind is rebellious energy, but it's really talking about change is afoot in your life. And now that I think about it, the eclipses are hitting your career sector with Aries and your home front with Libra. And these are both, so you're going to have these in March and April, the lunar eclipse in March and the solar eclipse in April, hitting your home front first and then your career front. So this should be a very powerful spring for you, Cancer. I picked an additional card. We have the Seven of Pentacles. This is nurturing your project, investing your energy in something and then nurturing it like you do a plant, which means that you're having patience, you're giving it tender loving care, and seeing if it produces growth. You're not expecting it to happen overnight. So yeah, very interesting, Cancer. I hope that this resonated with you in some way. If you'd like a private reading, please check out my astrology deals, my package deals, and my other types of readings. You can find out more information at the link below. I'm at rainandmoonastrology.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.